skoot in jou burg. Die krane loop nou droog, terwyl die wit toringpaleise opreik na die boog. Die havens verstik in roes, die paai is net klip, en die vee vrek in die stof terwyl die minister koffie sip. Hulle sê die Kongo roep ons, maar ons manne moet laat waai. Hulle sê toorlê die rabal onder die warm son se draai, terwyl die skare van die ANC oor die hele land gaan lê, en hul rykdom op die roe van die armes vaster lê. Maar moenie kwal nie broer, moenie jou kop verloor. Daar's 'n blinknuwe kommissie wat ons weer gaan staan en spoor. Nog 'n berg vol wit skrifte wat ons vertel waarom ons faal, terwyl die reuk van wanhoop in die donker strate dwaal. Oh, dis die rilse Grand Stalingrad, hy skop die blikkie aan. Hy skuil tussen die pyn met 'n splinternuwe plan. Nog 'n taakspan is op pad, nog 10 miljoen vermors, op ondersoekers wat net wonder wie's die een wat dors. Niemand word gedagtig nie, niemand aan die stuur, net 'n hol rippie buik wat sy eie is bevuur. Ja, hy grawe in die loopgraaf van 'n presidentsie wat faal, terwyl die nasie roep vir 'n man wat resultate haal. Ons is sat vir kyk vorentoe, ons is moeg vir al die hoekom, met gate in die paaie en 'n donker dooie toekoms. Dis 'n netwerk van koneksies, dis 'n feesmaal vir die rykes, terwyl die boer sy vee sien vrek langs droë dongeweikes. Hy noem het ondersoeke, ek noem het net 'n klag. 'n Toesmeerdery en pakke dier en stadige vlag. Hulle is lief vir prachtlandgoedere en al vette bankbalans, terwyl die land se foute op die afgrond saam dans. Dis die rilse Grand Stalingrad, hy skop die blikkie aan. Hy skuil tussen die pyn met 'n splinternuwe plan. Nog 'n taakspan is op pad, nog 10 miljoen vermors, op ondersoekers wat net wonder wie's die een wat dors. Hy skuil tussen die pyn met 'n splinternuwe plan. Nog 'n taakspan is op pad, nog 10 miljoen vermors, op ondersoekers wat net wonder wie's die een wat dors. Die tyd is nou om al die leuns uit die sale weg te was. Ons soek 'n ware patrioot wat by die toekoms pas. Nie 'n man wat gister regmaak met 'n pen en met papier, maar 'n leier wat nou opstaan en die foute hier laat hier. Geen verskonings meer nie, geen wag en kyk vir ons. Gee ons resultate of gee die sleutels vir die honds. Geen wetskrifte meer nie, geen miljoene se versuim. Ons bring die regte leiers in om hierdie gemors op te ruim. Weg met al die skurke, die vrot en al die vet. Ons vat ons land weer terug en ons bring weer orde en wet. Maak die water reg, maak die ligte aan, van die son gaan sak, sirrel, en ons gaan nie meer staan. Verdwyn.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Monday, February 16th, 2026. Welcome back to the program, folks. 16th. Good to see you again. Hope you're all doing well. We just had an interview with Flock, a pseudonym for a South African who's come to America as a refugee living in the Old Dominion, the state of Virginia. Welcome to everybody. Lots to talk about as always. We're going to start off with the situation in South Africa with water and that song about Cyril's task teams, and his approach to things. But high and dry, that's the situation for residents of Johannesburg and elsewhere who have no water. And this is a consequence of neglect, negligence, and incompetence, as well as corruption and theft. Parktown West, 20 days without water. Despite promises from Water and Sanitation Ministries, some Johannesburg areas, including Melville, Westdean, Parktown, and Industria West, remain without water. Johannesburg Water continues to implement measures like throttling, bypassing, water shifting to attempt to stabilize the system. Some systems, like the Rudaport and Central systems, have shown improvement. Others, such as Commando and Midrand, remain constrained, leaving high-lying areas and some suburbs without a reliable water supply. But it looks like the only people out protesting are white folks, old white folks. Thursday, Pemi Mojadina said that most of the water system city had stabilized, showing levels range from 40 to 90% full. On Monday, the water system reported constraint and experiencing challenges. The high-lying areas of Melville, Westdean, and elsewhere, a problem. Yeah, this is not good news here, folks. Not good news. Unbelievable. Wow. Lack of a budget is being cited as a reason for Joburg's water plant being crippled. Now here's black folks standing at a tanker truck, which of course makes money. The people who transport this water make a ton of money. Yes, water and sanitation are colonial constructs. Fees must fall, comrades. We know that Joburg Water is a very good turnaround strategy. The problem is not that strategy does not have the support of having a budget to implement it, enough teams actually make sure. That is the assessment of Dr. Farrell Adam. Well, it never should have come to this, folks. Across Johannesburg, residents have endured prolonged outages, erratic tanker deliveries, and inconsistent communication. City of Johannesburg's metropolitan municipality and the entire entity Johannesburg Water have cited aging infrastructure, high maintenance demand, and backlogs. Well, the aging infrastructure is because the scumbags stole the money for the past 30 years. Helen Zille, meanwhile, takes issue with Pemi Mojadina going to Ethiopia. She said the president told her to deal with the water crisis in Joburg. DA Johannesburg mayoral candidate Helen Zille has criticized Water and Sanitation Minister Pemi Mojadina for traveling to Ethiopia to attend the 39th AU Summit, while Johannesburg remains in the grips of a severe water crisis. The summit, held on Saturday in Addis Ababa, focused on placing water and sanitation at the heart of Africa's development agenda. Debbie Fox is back with a 350 Rand Super Chat. Thank you for that, Debbie. I appreciate that. The clouds are gathering. Speaking of the clouds gathering, folks, it's time for the clouds to gather. Pemi Mojadina finds herself in Ethiopia, and this is what she's doing. Once again, this idiot is at it. Here she is, Pemi Mojadina. What a complete idiot. What a buffoon. This is what passes for a minister in South Africa. What is wrong with this woman? Yeah, she's a distraction from what's happening. Yeah, exactly. I'll be making a video on that shortly after this. Once the clouds are gathering. That's a song. That's a new song. We'll make that song after the show. The clouds are gathering. Yep, the clouds are gathering. The clouds are gathering. Pemi Mojadina. Yep. Unbelievable. Yeah, and this is South Africa. An international song. Yeah, she claims it's an international water song. It doesn't seem to be working. There's no water in Joburg. Yep. Unbelievable. Pemi Mojadina. Yep. Justice for Isaac, a Nigerian rideshare murdered by South Africans. Trio accused in the Bolt driver's murder abandoned their bail application. 3 accused in the murder of Bolt driver Isaac Satlat have abandoned their bail application and elected to remain behind bars after appearing in the Pretoria Magistrates Court on Monday, as supporters outside chanted "Justice for Isaac." Dikeledi Tears Pela, Khetsitsane Machidi, and McLaren Mushwana are facing charge of premeditated murder and aggravated robbery in connection with a fatal attack of a 22-year-old e-hailing driver in Pretoria West last week. The trio made a brief appearance before the court where the matter was postponed for further investigation. Outside the court, e-hailing drivers and supporters staged a picket calling on government to strengthen safety measures for drivers operating on digital platforms. A February 11th incident in which Satlat was allegedly attacked after responding to a ride request. His vehicle and body were later found in Atteridgeville. The killing, which was captured on camera and widely circulated on social media, sparked national outrage. Police have previously confirmed that investigations are ongoing and that a 4th suspect is still being sought in connection with the crime. The matter has been postponed to February 23rd for further investigation. Jeez. Police arrested suspect after e-hailing driver was allegedly killed. Unbelievable. This man's life ended at 22 years of age. Why? Why? Well, Ramaphosa does not see us, say Nelson Mandela Bay residents who put their faith in the military, which is a foolhardy gamble. Crime-ridden areas of Nelson Mandela Bay feel snubbed after President Ramaphosa announced employment of the military in other provinces to fight gang violence. On Monday, the DA organized a rally outside Glenvendale Police Station in Port Elizabeth to draw attention to the community's plight. Nelson Mandela Bay residents say they are hopeless and forgotten while they fear for their lives daily. While that's all true, the military is not the answer. It's painful that President Ramaphosa didn't consider the northern areas of Nelson Mandela Bay when deciding to deploy the military. It shows he hasn't experienced the loss of children as we have. We are constantly burying our loved ones, and our nation's leader doesn't understand that pain, says Madeline Cipher, a resident of Boyson Park. To bury your child and continue with life is one of the most excruciating experiences. Just the other day, I was standing outside when a shooting erupted at the house next door. I ran from my front door to hide, but all I can think of was a 20-year-old nephew who was somewhere down the street. As I hid from gunfire, I can only pray for his safety. We'd hoped the military would come, but it's clear there's no hope for us in the northern areas. Our leaders are elected to protect and care for us, but if our nation's leader can't safeguard us, how will this end for us? The military is not going to make any difference. It's going to be a problem. Johannesburg's crumbling infrastructure is in the news today. Johannesburg, promoted as a world-class African city, which is a joke. The G20, they tried to provide that lie. Suffering from tremendous infrastructure collapse, which includes hundreds of bridges. A recent report said only 6% of the city's 902 bridges are in working condition, good condition. And the cost to bring the rest up to acceptable standard is estimated at 37 billion rand. Johannesburg Roads Authority revealed that 702 of Johannesburg's bridges are in poor or very poor condition. 20 are on the brink of closure. Situation may be much worse as these numbers are based on outdated data. The deteriorating state of Johannesburg's bridges mirrors the decline of other critical infrastructure across the city. Former Johannesburg Mayor Jeff Makubu highlighted that most bridges in the city are more than 50 years old and require urgent repairs and rejuvenation. 50 years old. Gosh, let's see. Who was running South Africa 50 years ago? Oh, that's right, the National Party. And they kept the bridges functioning. They built those bridges. The rapacious, thieving ANC has not built anything. They've not built anything. They've simply eaten everything. The Ekurhuleni mayor finally takes action by suspending Bahari, Sheka, and moves against Mkhwanazi. Ekurhuleni Mayor Nokosimpile Zakaza has confirmed the city has effected the full suspension of his legal services head, advocate Kemi Bahari, and human resources head Linda Kwaksheka, with formal charge sheets now imminent for the trio, including EPMD Chief Julius Mkwanazi. Wow. It's about time. About time that someone took action against these criminals, or alleged criminals. Alleged criminals. Herman Mashaba, apparently not busy writing racist tweets, has decided to step into the race as we expected. Action SA leader Herman Mashaba has entered the race for Johannesburg mayoral seat. What race is this? I mean, what race? There's no race. Nobody gets to vote for Mashaba or Zilla or Dada Marrero. Nobody gets to vote for them. Only the councillors get to vote for them. There's no race to be mayor. This is comical. How do they perpetuate this farce? Well, they've entered the race. What race? You're not racing. You're not racing. You don't get to be mayor unless you have the votes. You only get the votes from the council members. You don't get it from the citizens of the city. What a joke. Race. There's no race. This is comical. It's a show. It's a circus. The party's Central Candidate Selection Committee is set to interview candidates on Monday night and officially announced the chosen candidate on Saturday. Mashaba previously served Johannesburg mayor from 2016-2019 under the DA, emphasized the importance of fixing Johannesburg to restore national confidence. Sure. Johannesburg does need to be fixed, but it's not going to be fixed whether things are going. Upcoming election set for November, which could be as late as February. The battle for Johannesburg has begun. Helen Zilla, the DA's federal council chair, threw her hat into the ring for the chain last year. Besides Mashaba, National Chairperson Michael Beaumont, Parliamentary Whip Lorato Ngubeni, MP Darlene James, and Gauteng Chair Funzi Ngubeni will be interviewed for the position. So he's thrown his hat in the ring to be the candidate for his party, but his party is not going to get the mayoralship. It's pretty simple going forward, folks. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Yeah, ain't going to happen. Well, South African bond yields hit decades low, which is good news for South Africa's economy as its junk bond rating is improved in the past year. The cost of borrowing has dropped significantly, but is still ridiculously high. The yields in South Africa's longer-dated 20- 30-year government bonds are on track to go as low as 8% this year, but the 10-year could drop to 7.5%. They haven't yet. The yield on the 30-year bond is at 8.68%, down from 12.77% in October 2023, while the annual return on a 10-year bond is 8.5%. So they're talking about going below 8%, but they're not there. They're still over 8% because they're junk bond status. What's going on, Courtney McBride? I don't see Courtney in here. Is Courtney in the chat? I don't see Courtney. Someone mentioned Courtney. Anyway. Oh, yeah. So utter nonsense, folks. Just poppycock. Just nonsense here. The yield is still high. Well, a big shopping center in Nelson Mandela Bay is looking for expansion. I've been to this place. The Boardwalk Mall in Geberge is expending 60 million rand to extend the mall, aiming to expand the center's dominance in the Eastern Cape. The new phase will add 2,584 square meters of gross lettable area, along with new leisure offerings, including paddle courts, a 5-a-side soccer facility, and a local favorite, Jack's Bagels. Flanagan Gerald is the developer of the extension. We'll see what happens. Boardwalk Mall is performing well. Turnover reached 114 million last year. 11 to 12 months showing positive year-on-year turnover growth. New brands, including Mr. Price Home, Faro, Cape Union Mart, and Polo will be added to the mall. Well, there you go. Cape Union Mart in PE. Sugar, spice, and everything that's nice, except not at Tongaat Hewlett. It's over. The game is over. Sugar, security, splice, and splitting off everything nice. How Tongaat's rescue failed. Yep. The following an application for provisional liquidation of iconic SA sugar producer Tongaat Hewlett shows that parties were scrambling to find some sort of agreement that would keep the group operating. But they couldn't, because another iconic South African brand is destroyed. What about Sappi? Are they still around? South African paper producers? Well, Durban florist Roxanne Gordon goes viral after exposing Google Ads customer to misdirection. She paid for ads only to have her customers directed to a big marketplace, not her. If you thought supporting local was as simple as typing a business name into Google and clicking that first link, Roxanne Gordon's story is here to humble all of us. The Durban florist who runs flowers on Kensington in Durban North with her mother went viral after posting a tearful TikTok ahead of Valentine's Day, and it wasn't just the emotion that hit people, it was the reason behind it. She claimed that when customers searched for her florist online, they were being redirected to Net Florist, meaning her Valentine's Day orders were allegedly being swallowed up by a bigger company before they even reached her inbox. Customers weren't necessarily choosing Net Florist, they were being guided there. Welcome to the world of algorithms and paid advertising, where you can do everything right as a small business and still get played by the internet. Yep. Yep. Local is lekker, except not here. Yep. So she advertised, and then they took them to NetFloor. That's crazy, but that's what happened. That's what happened. Yep. Took them to Net Florist. Stealing her business. Stealing her business. Yeah, Sapi's around until it's expropriated. Yep, exactly. St. Helena's, yeah, getting flights back. There's been no flights for some time now. The only Airlink is returning. Only Airlink will be returning, but first flights won't open for new travelers for a few days. Flights to St. Helena resume on the 17th of February, but the first services prioritize passengers who've been stranded for up to 3 weeks. No new tickets will be sold for the initial flights, with normal bookings only reopening on February 24th. The disruption cut off the island's only commercial Airlink, underscoring its extreme isolation and reliance on a single route to South Africa. All commercial flights to one of the world's most isolated islands are set to resume this week, reconnecting St. Helena to South Africa and the outside world after weeks of disruption. On February 15th, it regained Category 6 firefighting accreditation required for normal flight operations, allowing Airlink to restart services after repairs and safety checks. Seats will be allocated on the basis of the length of delay and affected passengers contacted directly by the island's handling agent, Solomons. For those of you who aren't aware, Airlink suspended all services between South Africa and St. Helena on February 6th after operational concerns led to the airport's firefighting capability being downgraded below the level required for scheduled commercial operations. Located 1,900 kilometers west of Angola and more than 2,800 kilometers from Brazil, the island relies on a single commercial airline link and currently has no regular passenger ship service. Without flights, access is limited to occasional cargo vessels, private yachts, and infrequent expedition cruise visits. St. Helena built to end the island. St. Helena Airport, built to end the island's multi-day sea isolation, opened back in 2016 after a £285 million UK-funded project. A powerful wind shear delayed commercial operations for months, fueling controversy over the cost and complexity of one of the world's most challenging airfields. Still, the introduction of regular air service has been a significant boost for tourism, attracting 4,000 visitors a year to the island. Look at that whale shark. The airport regained its accreditation after carrying out emergency repairs. St. Helena is a bucket list destination. Well, I guess so. It's pretty remote. One of the most valuable pieces of land in South Africa, the Victorian Alfred waterfront, makes over 30 million rand per day. It's a good news story here. Established in the 19th century, named after Queen Victoria and her second son, Prince Alfred. The Victoria Basin was completed in 1869, followed by the Alfred Basin in 1905. 1988, Transnet, then operating as Portnet, established the Victorian Alfred Waterfront Company to redevelop historic docklands in the mixed-use precinct. Major ownership change took place in 2011, with Growth Point Properties acquiring 50% stake in V&A Waterfront, the Public Investment Corporation holding the remaining 50%. So the state owns half of the V&A Waterfront. The V&A Waterfront supports more than 83,000 direct and indirect jobs and contributes over 1.5% of the Western Cape's GDP. 25 million visitors in 2025. Wow. Demand across the 13 hotels remained robust over the festive period, with December occupancies at 69%. They're saying that's healthy. 69% is good, but it's not great. You want 75% or better occupancy to say you're doing well. The coming months will decide South Sudan's future, according to Cyril Ramaphosa. He discovered South Sudan because it's time for the AU summit. Wow. Well, thank you, Cyril Ramaphosa, for your input. Appreciate it. Herschel Yankees has finally tied the knot after having a child out of wedlock with his girlfriend, now his wife. Congratulations in order for Herschel Yankees and his partner Kelsey after they tied the knot at the weekend. Stormers rugby player and his wife shared their wedding pictures in a joint Instagram post with the caption, "I gotta love you for the rest of my life." Congratulations on their wedding. He and his bride have been together for several years. In February of 2024, they welcomed their first child 2 years ago, and now they tie the knot. When is Ramadan? Muslims around the world want to know when the moon will be sighted. There you go, folks. When will this start? Well, around February 19th, most likely. The first days of fasting for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan in Mecca will likely be Thursday, February 19th. Could be on the 18th, depending on the sighting of the moon. Other countries follow their own moon sightings. Some use astronomical calculations for lunar phases, while others rely on traditional local sightings to confirm the start of the new month. Ramadan is determined by the Islamic lunar calendar, which begins with the sighting of the crescent moon. Saudi Arabia and other Muslim-majority countries rely on the testimonies of moon sighters to determine the start of the month. For the moon to be visible, the crescent must set after the sun. This allows the sky to be dark enough to spot the small sliver of the new moon. If the moon is sighted, the month of Ramadan begins, with the first day of fasting beginning February 18th. Otherwise, Shaban will complete 30 days, and the first fasting will be February 19th. Ramadan. Israel is moving to designate much land in Judea and Samaria as state land. It's being condemned as de facto annexation. The Israeli government has advanced the registration of territory in the places of Judea and Samaria as state land in a move that Palestinians have decried as de facto annexation. For the first time since 1967, they'll create a mechanism to officially register large swaths of land under the state. And here's the current control of Judea and Samaria. Area A is Palestinian civil and security control. That would be the peach color there. The Area B is joint Palestinian and Israeli security control, the green. And the purple is areas under the control of Israel. There you go. Much of Judea and Samaria under Israeli control now, and has been for decades. Willa Fundamental, thank you for the 70 Rand, making the clouds gather. Appreciate that. The clouds are gathering, Tata. Yes, yes, sir. Yes. The Iranian foreign minister in Geneva for U.S. talks says guards hold drills in the Strait of Hormuz. He wants a fair and equitable deal. Good luck with that. I'm in Geneva with real ideas to achieve a fair and equitable deal. We'll stop building nuclear weapons and you can get a deal. Iran and U.S. renewed negotiations earlier this month to tackle decades-long dispute over Iran's nuclear program. Speaking state-run IRNA news agency on Monday, Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Bagay said the IEA will play an important role in upcoming mediated talks. Well, we'll see how that goes. Wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Would not hold my breath on what's going to happen with Iran. Suspect in the Bondi Beach shooting finally appears in court. A man accused of killing 15 people in a mass shooting at a Jewish festival in Sydney's Bondi Beach appeared in court Monday for the first time since his release from hospital. Naved Akram appeared in Sydney's Downing Centre local court via video link from the maximum security Goulburn Correctional Centre 200 kilometers away. He did not enter a plea for the charge against him, including murder and committing a terrorist act. Brief court appearance focused on extending a gag order that suppresses the identities of victims and survivors of the attack who have not chosen to identify themselves publicly. Good luck with that, Bondi Beach. Ukraine detains ex-energy minister as high-level corruption case widens. German Galoshenko's arrest is connected to a $100 million corruption probe that has ensnared senior officials and shaken President Zelensky's office. He served as energy minister for 4 years before becoming justice minister for a short period last year. They got a crook who became the justice minister. Sounds like South Africa. He was arrested for anti-corruption authorities in the Ukrainian-Polish border on Sunday. On Monday, authorities said he was charged on suspicion of money laundering and participation in a criminal organization. Yeah, well, that's Ukraine. Marco Rubio meets with Viktor Orban in Budapest as U.S. and Hungary are set to sign a civilian nuclear pact. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in the Hungarian capital today for meetings with Prime Minister Viktor Orban and his government, during which they plan to sign a civilian nuclear cooperation agreement. Trump has been outspoken in support for Orban in the Hungarian leader's bid for re-election in 2 months. Led by Eurosceptic populists who oppose support for Ukraine and vocally back Trump, Slovakia and Hungary represent friendly territories for Rubio as he pushes to shore up energy agreements with both Central European countries. Marco Rubio reminds Europe and the world that the Western Alliance is all about. Secretary of State Marco Rubio gave a truly terrific Valentine's Day address at Munich Security Conference, laying out the deep ties entwining the U.S. with Europe, while firmly laying down America's worries about how the old world is abandoning our shared heritage. Above all, he aimed to rally our allies to return to their senses. Yep. Rubio, U.S. will defend and renew Western civilization, ready to do this alone if Europe won't. If Europe is cowardly, the U.S. will defend Western civilization. Key European leaders fired back Sunday after Secretary of State Marco Rubio's blistering speech over the weekend in which he directly tied the shared history and culture of Western nations to their collective security. Rubio told European officials the U.S. wants to renew transatlantic alliances, but seeks partners proud of their heritage and not shackled by guilt and shame. Yep. Some European officials objected to the characterization that they are presiding over decline of Western civilization. Remarks in Munich Forum on Sunday, former Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, now the top foreign policy official for the EU, said the opposite is true. Contrary to what some say, woke, decadent Europe is not facing civilizational erasure. Oh, she's wrong. She argued the values embodied by European countries should be applauded, not derided. We are pushing humanity forward, trying to defend human rights and all this, which is actually bringing prosperity for people. That's why it's very hard for me to believe these accusations. Well, because you're a dumbass. That's why. She's a stupid dumbass. Yep. Anyway. Who cares what these idiots have to say? And the White House released this. In Munich, Secretary Rubio calls on allies to embrace shared heritage, meets challenge for the new era. Well, a Dutchman, who may be a Dutch national, but is certainly not Dutch. He's not a Dutchman. He may be a Netherlands national, but he's not Dutchman. Look at this guy. That is not Dutchman. He's of Asian or Middle Eastern descent or Indian. Owen Ramsang with his friend Robert Olson. After months of detention in various ICE centers, Owen Ramsang has been deported from the United States to the Netherlands. He arrived in the Netherlands where he was born but hasn't lived for 40 years. He's devastated, a bit relieved. Here I'm free. He had a hard time talking to the broadcaster everything he's been through, but he pushed through the grief and pain. For everyone who's still held in such inhumane conditions, I feel obliged to tell their story too. Inhumane conditions. This is a criminal who lived in America without consequences for decades. The 45-year-old was born in Amersfoort. His mother took him and his sister to the United States when he was 5. He had a comfortable life in the USA. He had his own business, worked as a security guard, and owned a home. Things went wrong in September after visiting his father in the Netherlands. ICE detained him in Chicago. The reason given was a drug conviction when he was 16. He'd been caught dealing cocaine and spent several months in prison. After being detained in September, he spent months in various ICE detention facilities, often being transferred without being told where he was going. Theoretically, they could visit me, but I refused. I wasn't doing well, but physically and mentally, I didn't want them to see me like that, his wife and daughter. The conditions were inhumane. The first detention center, he slept on the floor, had no access to a shower, was given a microwave meal once a day. At the next one in El Paso, he shared 5 toilets and 6 showers with 71 other detainees. There was not enough food, shampoo, or toothbrushes. After 2 months in El Paso, he was transferred again. Not long after he was transferred again, so a new judge could look at his case. Finally, he was finally deported from the U.S. I was terrified because I wasn't sure what was going on. It wasn't until I was on the plane to the Netherlands that everything hit me. He does not intend to return to the United States. I feel safe here. Nobody deserves to be in that situation. I don't want to live in the United States anymore. I just wanted to visit my daughter's grave. I know I'm going to face many challenges in the coming period, like learning Dutch and selling all our possessions in the U.S. But in a way, I'm relieved that I'm safe now. Well, good riddance, Mr. Drug Dealer. Good riddance. Well, fans who want to show pan-Europeanism raised Greenland's flag at the U.S.-Denmark hockey game, said it was a pro-European gesture. They're not even Danes. 2 fans who raised the flag of Greenland as the United States played Denmark in men's hockey at the Winter Olympics on Saturday in Milan say they did so as a gesture of European support for the island for Denmark. Okay. Vita Kalina and her husband Alexandra Kalnins, fans of the Latvian hockey team who live in Germany, held up a large red and white Greenland flag during warm-ups, and again when the Danish team scored the opening goal. For us as Europeans, it was important to show up with the symbol of European unity that we support Greenland. Well, you are Latvian hockey fans, Latvian citizens living in Germany, flashing a Greenland flag. Piss off and go back to Latvia. Idiots. European Union will send an observer to Trump's Board of Peace meeting. European Union announced Monday that EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, Dubravka Sukic, will attend the first formal meeting of President Trump's Board of Peace, which will oversee the post-war reconstruction of Gaza as an observer. Although the EU will not join the Board of Peace, A spokesman for the bloc said it was necessary to send a representative to support the effort. The meeting will take place Thursday in D.C. Trump says Board of Peace will unveil a $5 billion in Gaza reconstruction pledges at an inaugural meeting. President Trump said Sunday that members of his newly created Board of Peace have pledged $5 billion towards rebuilding war-ravaged Gaza and will commit thousands of personnel to international stabilization and police forces for the territory. Wow. Board of Peace will prove to be the most consequential international body in history, and it is my honor to serve as chairman. Rebuilding the Palestinian territory will be a daunting endeavor. United Nations, World Bank, and European Union estimate reconstruction will cost $70 billion. Well, that's what the terrorists get for bringing this wrath down upon the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. President's Day 2026 in America. Well, what's open and what's closed? Most places will be open. Government offices, however, will be closed, and schools. Banks and stock market are closed. Retailers were open. National parks are open and free to U.S. residents on President's Day. Yep. The Trump administration is launching an investigation into Texas's Muslim-only community project. They received a complaint alleging large-scale pattern of religious discriminatory conduct by project's developers. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, is investigating entities involved in planned Muslim housing development in Texas because of concerns that the initiative may have engaged in discrimination based on religion and nationality. HUD's probe will look into the Meadow Project, formerly called Epic City or East Plano Islamic Center, for potential violations of the Fair Housing Act. The act prohibits direct providers of housing, such as real estate companies, from instituting discriminatory practices to make housing unavailable to people based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or family status. Well, that's exactly what's happening here with the Islamization of Texas. These people intend to create this city and exclude Christians from it only for Muslims. That's illegal in America. They can piss off and go back to whatever hellhole they came from, take their third world, 13th century beliefs with them. The latest rollback, U.S. essentially has no clean air rules. And the New York Times tries to tell us that that's bad news for U.S. automobile makers. No, it's not. No, it's not. Instead of losing $144 billion on unicorns and fairy tales with green energy bullshit EV, electrical vehicles that nobody wants, now they can build internal combustion engine cars and not worry about mileage standards and let people buy what they want to buy. Yeah. Wow. They claim that U.S. greenhouse emissions will increase by 10% over 30 years. They have no evidence of this. This is a projection. And they're saying that this will hurt the automotive industry. Ridiculous. The shift towards larger gasoline models could ultimately undermine their competitiveness in intensifying global EV race. Car makers around the world are scrambling to secure enough EV batteries, for example, and that race penalizes laggards. Well, if you don't engage in that marketplace, then you don't get stuck paying exorbitant rates for electrical vehicle batteries that you don't need. And you can make internal combustion engines. Yeah, no toasters on wheels, exactly. No end in sight for the Democrats' effort to shut down the government as they stick with their ridiculous demands for oversight of DHS. Every other police department in America is unmasked, Mr. Schumer said. ICE can do the same. This is a rogue force. They're almost trained, it looks like, to be nasty and mean and cruel and go way beyond what ordinary police departments do. Well, ICE is not a police department, Chucky Schumer, you moron. And the reason they're masked is because your little turds have targeted them and their families and attacked them. 4,000% increase in the attacks on ICE agents. They can wear a mask all they want to. Quit committing crimes and you won't have to worry about them. Hakeem Jeffrey says Democrats are ready to spend millions on a Virginia redistricting measure to steal an election from Republicans. Republicans started this redistricting war and Democrats made it clear we're going to finish it. No, Democrats started this war in Pennsylvania when they stole the election when Trump was president in 2020. That's when they stole the election. Get your facts right. 2018 is when they actually started this. And in 2020, Pennsylvania was forced to redistrict during an election. An immoral, bankrupt concept by a corrupt, captured Supreme Court of 5 demon rats and 2 Republicans who voted 5-2 to allow redistricting or force redistricting on a state that had districts set up for years. And they went back to something from many, many years ago in the midst of an election, stolen election. There were 12 Republicans in Pennsylvania and 6 Democrats in Congress. And with one decision, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court stole the election by overriding the congressional districts that were in place when people began campaigning after filing for candidacy. how that ever was allowed, how the world doesn't look at that, how idiots like Hakeem Jeffries don't pay attention to what actually happened in this country because it doesn't suit their political needs. It shows you just how corrupt the system is. How corrupt the system is. And Democrats started the redistricting nonsense. U.S. military has conducted its first airlift of the next generation nuclear reactor. The reactor is small in size, can generate up to 5 megawatts of electricity. Are these small modular reactors, which I've been talking about for years? The Pentagon said airlift of the next generation nuclear reactor from California to Utah on February 15th to boost energy security and reduce the military's reliance on a civilian power grid. The reactor was airlifted from March Air Reserve Base in California to Hill Air Force Base in Utah aboard a C-17. It will later be transported to the Utah San Rafael Energy Lab for testing and evaluation. The reactor is small, can generate up to 5 megawatts of electricity, sufficient to power 5,000 homes. Yep, small modular reactors. That's the answer. Well, are you confused about Obamacare and why insurance premium is so high? So am I. And this story really doesn't make it any easier to understand. A judge is ruling that some payments insurers were illegal set off a cost spiral. Yep. And this gets very confusing. Insurance premiums are just one piece of healthcare affordability puzzle for many Americans. Out-of-pocket expenses, which are less predictable, also impact the family budget. Out-of-pocket costs for deductibles, co-payments alike now average more than $1,600 a year per person. That's on top of insurance premiums, which run about $27,000 for a family plan. Wow. Yep. Oh, look at this. The advertising. 11% of the population, but 100% of the ads. Black Americans. Oh, my goodness. Well, survivors of the King Franklin concentration camps during the World War II are trying to equate what's happening in America now with what happened to them, and they're wrong. For survivors of Japanese American prison camps, Trump's deportation campaign has disturbing echoes. Courtney McBride just gave a $5 super chat saying Utah GOP secured enough signatures to get a ballot measure approved to overturn the independent redistricting commission here in Utah. Good for them. Independent, yeah, it wasn't so independent, was it? John Tashishi was under 3 years old when he was sent to prison. He was never arrested or charged with a crime, but like 120,000 other Japanese immigrants and Japanese Americans, he and his family were rounded up and sent on buses to prison camps in the West during World War II, result of wartime racism by Democrats following Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. Now he sees a disturbing parallel between his experience and the Trump administration's frenzied push to detain and deport thousands of immigrants, many of them Hispanic and Latino, with little due process. Okay, let's fix that story very quickly. They're not immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're criminal alien invaders. The Japanese were legal immigrants to America or American citizens who were interned in concentration camps by the Democrats. The people that are being removed from this country are criminals. They say there's a clear difference between Trump administration's current immigration blitz and the incarcerated Japanese Americans. Contemporary immigration crackdowns involve campaigns across the country purportedly to enforce existing immigration law. No, not purportedly, to do that. While Japanese Americans were incarcerated on the guise of wartime necessity just based on ethnicity, even when there was no accusation they had broken any laws. But there are striking through lines, really. Fort Bliss. They're trying to equate detaining people in Fort Bliss, but as if Fort Bliss is the only place where people are being detained. It's ridiculous. Japanese American Citizens League called the use of facility to detain people accused of immigration violations a disgrace to the memory and legacy of 125,000 Japanese Americans. Well, you don't own Fort Bliss. That belongs to the U.S. government, U.S. Army, so you can take that and shove it. This is ridiculous, trying to equate the Democrats' racism with the imposition of the law, enforcing the law. Ridiculous. That's the news for today, folks. Be sure to hit the like button. Wow, we're really down on views again. What's up with that? 202 likes. Can we get some more likes there? That'd be really helpful. Appreciate that. Raleigh is getting 66 people a day that relocated there. From where? Cash and Transit Ice in Rustenburg this morning. No, I didn't see that. Work people, thank you for the news. Happy President's Day. Are those two new Turn 50 plaques? Yes, you are correct. Yep, the White House and the Statue of Liberty. That's two new flags hanging behind me. I changed them out. I bought 4 of them, and I flew the first 2 for a while. Thank you for the clouds gathering. The weather's great. People are friendly. Lots of expansions. There's lots of employment and business opportunity. You're welcome, Vilma. You're welcome, Mark. Oh, the Truman Show, yeah. Thank you, Joan Stewart. Use of the word concentration describing wartime camps is used to evoke slow extermination. Yeah, I know it's manipulative. These were detention centers is what they were, and people, by and large, didn't die in them, but they were wrong. It was morally wrong. It was racist by the racist Democrats in Congress and the White House who put American citizens into detention centers, destroying their lives, their property they had to sell, and they were ripped off. And some of them couldn't even sell it. It was just insane. And they're trying to equate what's happening with people who are criminals being deported from America with that. That's just disgusting. Disgusting. Yeah, the Cal Rugby shirt fits me fine. Courtney, I haven't washed it yet. I think it's large enough that it'll survive a washing. Thank you for the $2. Thank you so much for everything you do. You're truly loved and appreciated. Thank you, Nicola. Appreciate that. No electricity and a battery dying. Sorry to see that, Monster Max. Be well. Yep. Shimla's 50 and Monty's. Oh my goodness, that is horrible. The Monty's have just dropped. No, what happened to Hermanus? What happened to Hermanus? DA and Hermanus. Okay. See if anything comes up. Nah, there's nothing here. What happened? There's nothing in the news. Yes, the Japanese were in the U.S. military. In Europe, though. Heidi, thank you for the super chat. 70 Rand. The clouds are gathering. People hit children in Hermanus. What people hit children? You talking about the lady who beats someone? Hope you feel better. No, I'm fine. Just I've got something stuck in my throat and won't come out. So weird watching 11 and not 7 p.m. Well, it was never on at 7, Ubies. It was always on at 6. I take it you're in America now. On the East Coast. Welcome. Imagine how weird it is for me breaking up my day and doing this every day for people. What am I missing here? Broken arrow, not entering the country at a legal port, which is against the law. That makes you criminal. Exactly right. All playing Sims and our governments are people manipulating our realities. Possibly. U.S. and Russia both made nuclear-powered aircraft and abandoned them. NEF with the government shutdown because they fund themselves. They vote. It's a really nice gig to get. You can pay yourself. It's pretty nice. Hard to beat a gig like that. Mail truck emits more car emissions than most other vehicles. A filthy truck that was built in 1987. I don't doubt that, Courtney. Don't doubt that at all. Dodge has converted the EV Charger to i6 Turbo. Ooh, there you go. V8 American muscle just got. Yeah, well, I might go buy a Toyota 4Runner again if they start making V8s again. I want a new 4Runner, but they don't make V8s. They're only V6s because the emissions, but the mileage standards, So, yep, the mileage standards were put in place not because of carbon emissions, but the green idiots tried to turn it into a carbon emission story. It's not about carbon emissions. The mileage standards, the CAFE standards for vehicles were because of energy consumption, not because of emissions, but they try to turn it into a emission story. Sweden has fallen. What about it? Does the Hessian National Party have any pull? No pull at all. Thank you for the super chat. We're going to have to make a Clouds Are Gathering song. No, the question here with that guy from the Netherlands is how do you avoid the system IRS for 40 years? Because it wasn't enforced. The law wasn't enforced. So, or, he didn't file a tax return. That's possible. But, so he served time in jail and then he's allowed to stay. But what should have happened is he should have had his permanent residency revoked. That's probably why he never applied for citizenship, because he knew he would not get it. There's daylight savings time canceling will not give people more sunlight. You get more sunlight now. It doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, Trump and his idea to cancel daylight savings time, I'm not in agreement with that. Red meat prices tripled in the last 2 weeks. Well, we can thank Minister Steenhuisen for that. Jeffrey Bennett, I've been trying to get a hold of you via text and WhatsApp. Well, text is not the right way to get a hold of me. What's the correct method? Send me an email. WhatsApp, You are one of thousands of people sending me messages. I don't know who you are. You're just a number in my thing. So let me see if... hang on. Why is it not typing, Geo? When I type Jeffrey, nothing comes up. No, I don't know who you're sending messages to, but they're not coming to me. I don't know how you're trying to contact me. I have no message from anyone named Jeffrey. I just looked in my WhatsApp. Nothing. No, Joburg doesn't have time to wait for Zilla, and she won't fix it anyway when she gets there. It's impossible. Yes, St. Helena was a concentration camp for the borders. Now it's a bucket list holiday destination. Updated my hip. It's okay. Yeah, it's good news when criminals say they're never going to return to your country. Yep. DA ward counselor in Ward 7 Hermanus called SAPs on residents recording meeting. They tried to arrest old people. Okay, Monroe, what are you saying? Are you saying that in Hermanus there was a DA meeting and people were recording them, so they called the SAPs? They tried to smash their phones. Well, first off, it's rude to record someone without their permission. I don't know if it's even legal in South Africa. Maybe it is. But you can't do that in Pennsylvania. It's a violation of the law. You have to have someone's permission to record their audio. Yep. Road tax in the UK. 390 year to tax. That's crazy, Neil. John Bobby John, yes, Obama, a lot of stuff has gone away, but Biden also put in some new stuff for cafe standards, and they're getting rid of that too. So, yep. Yep. The new 4Runner is now 2.4 four-cylinder turbo. I have a V8 4.7 liter engine, Monster Max. DA escorted residents out of community. Check out Van Petzer. Rate hikes to pay for illegal squatters. Okay, thank you, Garrett. You don't need a police clearance for the refugee program. Why do you think that? Why would... Okay, I had this conversation on the Cafe Clutch yesterday. Why would we accept a police clearance from a police force that is persecuting South Africans? It doesn't make any sense. Pat wants to ask me a very personal question. What's your question? I won't answer it if I don't want to. What's your question? Resident from meeting Hermanus who asked too many questions. Okay, so that's what happened to Hermanus. No, I didn't hear about this. Would it be better to join the Army or Navy for someone in their late 20s or 30s? Well, obviously I have personal bias. I think the Army's a better option, but I mean, it's your call. I mean, you're less likely to be in combat if you're in the Navy, but I didn't join the military to avoid combat or to find combat. I joined the military to serve my nation, and the Army was the best option in my view. It depends on your personal preferences. I don't really care for being at sea. Not my cup of tea. So, nothing wrong with the Navy. Build a Supermax prison. I don't think they're capable of doing that. Yeah, the DA shouldn't have anything to hide. Exactly. Now, I don't know. I wasn't at the meeting. Were the old folks obstinate and rude and disrespectful and disrupting the meeting? If they were disrupting the meeting, then they should be removed. But I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't say. Safford JT, welcome to you. Tom, all is well in Illinois. Well, then where have you been away for so long? What are you busy doing? Getting a Social Security number and a job? Friend had a conviction that was expunged. Would it be a good idea to get a police clearance in this case? That wouldn't be a good idea, but they may tell you to get one. That's a different situation. Just reveal that to them when you get interviewed. Tell your friend to reveal it when you get interviewed, and then they might ask him to get one. Courtney says the Navy's best time to learn valuable high-tech skills. Yeah, the Army's the one that built the cyber center, so I don't know about that. Yeah. Yeah, there must be order. Yeah, see, I don't know, Bitterender. I haven't seen what happened in Hermanus. No one mentioned it to me over the weekend, so it's the first time I heard it when you guys mentioned it. Garrett mentioned it's the first time it came to my attention. Slow Puppy says, go Army. Courtney's still here. Track Board says, thanks for this. Thought you were going to have more fun with our new clouds are gathered in Kenya. Lucky for them. I don't know about Kenya, but I know about in Uganda, in Ethiopia, where the clouds are gathering. Yes, I'm going to make a video on that. It's because illegals moved in protected land. It's actually an interesting article of how this government destroys everything. Where's the article at? I didn't see it in any major outlet. Nope. Why are you asking that question if flights have stopped? Nothing has changed. I've already said that in the previous interview 3 times. I mentioned it at least once in this interview that all is continuing. Still waiting for social screen number. Okay, Tom. All right. Yep. So nothing has changed. The shutdown has had no effect. Ian, I have no feedback. If I have feedback, do you think I would keep it from you? If I have feedback, do you think I would keep it from you? Navy has nuclear reactors on our ships and submarines. Yeah, that's true. And the Army will soon have nuclear reactors at all its bases. Yeah, I don't reply. I misunderstood the question. Have I had any feedback on the message you sent me? I did misunderstand that. Oh, no, Alan. Okay, I'm sorry. That was... Okay, wait, I'm confusing Alan and Ian. Sorry. What did Alan say? I was answering Ian, not Alan. What did Alan say? Are you talking about the email? All right, well, then explain to me what I got wrong. Okay. Oh, the Marines are honorable. Public events are different. But in an enclosed space in a private building, that's a different story. So... I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Ouch. Generally, you can do that. God bless. I need to shave better here. This freaking hair right there. Tux versus Ickies now. Okay. Newest, largest subs, the Columbus. Insane. Yeah, big one's coming. The question regarding flight stopovers in Europe. Okay. Okay. Did you ask it here in chat or in email? Don't see anything. Hey, Petra. Power was off. Jeez. I don't see it around. I'm told that I'm too white to work for this company. I better get out before something happens. Well, Rudy, that sucks. Too white. That's racism. That's persecution. The Nobel 3 Peace Prize. That's funny, Mark. I missed these chats somehow. Yeah, if Steenhuisen goes to Nampo, he's probably going to be booed out of there. The SK province wants to get their own vaccines. Alan Whitty says, after we were told by Steenhuisen that you can't do that, now the Cape is going to do their own thing. Well, that's in South Africa, Safford JT. Okay. $30 for road tax, and I begrudge the way that they're trying to stop us from driving my city. Yep. Take care, East Coast Ostrich. Anyway, yeah, so it's a long slog to 123,000 subscribers. Man, we're having a hard time getting there, man. It is not easy. It's not easy. Having a hard time getting there. Bigfoot Brahmas, welcome. Wow, team member. There you go. Thank you for your membership. It's awesome. Question, flights stopping Europe was posed by me. What was the question? Didn't I answer it? I'm confused. I didn't mention water shedding in PE. I didn't see that legislation. Mariki, what's going on? Courtney says, "There's gentlemen among rogues." I don't know about that. That's right. The Army has the discombobulator. Forget the nuclear. What is the question about Europe stopovers? I don't understand. I don't remember seeing a question about that. Maybe I'm getting old here. Anybody want to share that with me? What am I missing? You see, it became the anchor in business. What does that mean, Garrett? The anchor. Well, Pat is now asking the question. Yes, Pat, I have 16 wives in 13 countries and over 40 children. And the Lobola is eating me alive, hence the reason for Super Chats. Yeah, I don't know what Sammy's asking. I don't know what Alan's asking. What did I misunderstand? I'm confused. You guys are, you're playing games with me here. Just tell me what it is that you want to know. Okay, I can't read minds. Yvonne von Ryan. There were no flights stopped over the EU. What are you talking about? I already answered that question. Thank you, Sally. There are no flights stopped. There are no flights stopped. What are you talking about? No one stopped any flights. And if they do get stopped, they'll get stopped because people ran their mouths and talked about them. I said not to talk about them. I said that from the outset. I refused to report on it when I first heard it was happening. People had to run their mouths in the groups. Yep. You guys don't understand. The Europeans are pussies. They're wusses. It doesn't take anything to get them to not fulfill their obligation as a commercial entity because Lufthansa is owned in part by the German government. KLM is owned in part by the Dutch government, if I'm not mistaken. They're just cowards. They will stop carrying people if someone whines. They're just pussies. They've always been pussies. I mean, look at Lufthansa making people wear masks 8 months, a year after everyone else in the world stopped wearing masks on flights. A hover tank? No, I don't know what we care about that. Question I asked was, are all refugee flights stopping? Oh, okay, that's a different question. That's a different question. No, they're not. Where does that question come from, though, Sami? Thank you. Why do you presume that? Where does that come from? Most refugees are coming in United and Delta, direct to the U.S. And are stopovers still happening? That's another question now, and you're asking a different question. It's two different questions. Are all refugee flights stopping over in Europe? No. The stopovers in Europe is still happening. Yes. They're not a stopover. It's a transfer. You're not stopping over. There's no stopover. There's no layover. There's no layover. Well, look, there's a layover. Yeah, a layover is when you're stuck between flights for your connecting flight. I'm sorry, there's a layover. There's not a stopover. Stopover is staying overnight. There's no intention for anyone to stay overnight. You're supposed to continue on the same day. Yeah, so that was two different questions. Okay. No, there's no refuel. They get on a different plane. Those planes don't fly from South Africa to Europe and then America. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. The planes fly from South Africa to Europe and you get on a different flight. I don't understand the confusion here. Apparently people have never done this before. When I flew from Harrisburg to Chicago, it was on a local domestic plane. Chicago, I got on an international flight with Lufthansa. These were all Lufthansa from Chicago to Frankfurt on a plane. I waited 11 hours or 10 hours and got on a different plane that flew to South Africa. That's you're just changing planes. I don't understand. Oh, got you, Garrett. Thank you. Application. My son's 2 years old. Do we need to? No. Okay, Jack Kokomor. No, you need to put whoever has custody of the child needs to put that child on their case. And then the two of you, since you haven't bothered to get married, are not a family, you need to link your cases. You need to request to be linked or get married. Contrary to your saying, don't look at my case, people need to go look at the document section. Many of us have been instructed out. No, Ian. Wrong. It's not contrary. Most people aren't told to upload things. And most people I've talked to who've uploaded things then get a message saying that message deleted without having been read. So that's a whole other story. But no, most people don't have to upload documents. So there's no need to go there. No. Not many of you. Some of you have been instructed. Some have been instructed. Some. A small number. And you do what you want, Ian. You're not hearing what I said. Do what the hell you want. Go look at whatever you want. But don't come crying to me that you're stressed or you're waiting. It's unfair. I've been waiting. What's going on? My case is open. My case is closed. It's pending. It's this. It's that. I don't want to hear it. There's no need to go look at my case. It's not for you. It never should have been for you. All it does is cause undue stress. The lady who looks at it every 2 weeks has the right approach. Do it every 2 weeks. So do what you want, Ian, and not contrary to what I said. You once again, people are spreading stories from their perspective. Many of us. How many, Ian? How many? What constitutes many of the 70, 120,000 people who got cases in there? How many of those are many? How many have been told to get documents? You know a few people. Why? Because you've been in a WhatsApp group or a Facebook page? That's anecdotal. That doesn't mean anything. This throwing things around based on some anecdotal information is not helpful. Well, thank you, Denise, for the Ebola. Thank you very much. You know, I can't use cattle anymore. I have to use cash because all my cattle are dead from foot and mouth disease. Yep. Did we sort the plane issue out now? Are we good now? Flights through Europe are continuing, but flights also are Delta and United from South Africa direct to the U.S. That's the majority of people coming over. Other people are flying on Air France, sometimes Lufthansa, British Airways. It just depends on what they're doing to get people out and how they do it. So those continue. And there's no overnights intended. You're supposed to continue your journey on with a connecting flight when you land in Paris, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, or London. No, Ian. Well, that's the problem. Yeah, no, Ian Moon. Yeah, I was talking about Alan. Don't worry about it, Ian. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to answer a lot of questions, and sometimes it gets confusing. Maybe I contribute. Maybe I didn't enunciate clearly. Why would they tell us if it's not necessary? Well, that's a good question, Ian. I don't know. Thank you, Yaku Joubert, for thanking me for remembering. Ian, I'm not sure what your comments and response. Is it response to my point that some people who've uploaded documents then receive a message saying that they were deleted without having been opened? I don't know. That's pretty stupid, isn't it? And first off, I don't know why they need any documents unless it's a new document. They have all your documents. They took them when you arrived. Did they not? Did they not make all of them when you first arrived? I mean, that's the thing. So I'm very confused about that too, Ian. I'm with you 100% on that. It doesn't make any sense, does it? Europe wants to arm Ukraine with supersonic missiles. Gee, many crickets. For your pre-screen, we're told to upload documents. Well, Sally, that sounds like a new development since they added that upload document. That wasn't there until recently. If someone has example video evidence of persecution, can you? No, you can't take it. I suppose you could take a USB and give it to them. Yeah, but you can't take a laptop or a phone in there. So you could do that. That's what I suggested before. Take it on a USB thumb drive. I don't know if they'll use it, but they probably will if you have video evidence. Thank you, Jack, for becoming a member. And suddenly we've gone from the news to refugee stuff. Not cattle, Colonel. Kettle. Angelique. JJ Rasmus sent me a WhatsApp. Did you, JJ? I don't see anything. Ah, got it. Got it. Okay. Okay, thank you for that, JJ. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, email today saying RC Africa is no longer accepting documents. If anything is needed, it will show on my case, and these have to be sent back to my case. See? Things change, guys. They change. Okay. Hey, Mara, what's up? I did not hear Marco's speech. I read through it. I made a song based on last night. I was wondering today because I took a look at where I am, just moved to, and the people here seem very happy and don't want to move. Then on the other hand, other areas are unlivable. What are you talking about? What areas are unlivable? Where? Sami says, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, no, Sami, I'm glad you got it. I'm glad we sorted. I was confused by Alan and Ian and Sami and what the questions were. But I think we've sorted it out now. Yeah, you stay in the terminal, you go through security. Yeah, it can be a pain. Well, the IOM is supposed to get transit visas for you, but they failed in London. They failed to get that done. No, okay, Ian. So look, that's fine. Do what they ask you to do. But the problem is that they're just sending an email out. Someone contacted me last night who has plane tickets. Was sent an email yesterday saying, your case, something's going on. You know, it's you're not anyway. But they have plane tickets. They already have plane tickets. Their name, the date, the confirmation number. They have the plane tickets. Yet they're being told that something's going on with their case. Well, it's nonsense. It's one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing. And that's what it sounds like with these documents. It sounds like some idiot's being given the task, tell people to send their documents, tell people to send their documents, tell people to send their documents. And the people they already have documents on. It doesn't make any sense. And again, the evidence to me that there's a cock-up here is that several people have sent the documents and then they get an email back saying, deleted without having been opened. That's just crazy. It's weird, Ian, I know. Okay. There aren't 40 million cattle in the herd. There might be 40 million livestock or wild animals, but there aren't 40 million cattle. No, there haven't been 26 million cattle deaths, no. No, there have only been a few hundred cattle deaths. Any electronics and metal items be confiscated. AirView, even my pen, so USB drive will not work. Pens don't get confiscated. USB drives don't get confiscated. Knives, can't have a knife. This got through. It's got metal on it. I've got a big piece of brass on the top, thanks to Garrett. That got through. Airport, not a problem. Carried that on. Ouch. When you check in, it tells you the things you're not allowed to bring. I had to leave a knife. Someone gave me a lovely knife when I was in South Africa. Here it is. Handmade knife. And it was given to me at the airport as I was flying out, but I'd already checked my bag, so I couldn't take it. So I left this with friends in South Africa, and I collected it the next time. Very lovely knife, handmade, very, very lovely. So yeah, it's very sharp too. I almost cut my hand there a moment ago. So yeah, so you obviously can't take something like that on a flight. People are reacting to my portal, panicking about the change of status instead of using the portal for intended purposes to upload documents required more. Exactly, Heidi. That's my point I'm trying to make. That's my point. So Ian says, contrary to my advice. Well, you don't have to listen to my advice. But if you listen to my advice, your stress level is going to go down. I guarantee it. Check a WhatsApp. Safford JT. Okay. Nothing comes up. The only Jacks I know is the Pink Ladies. This was at the interview for the items confiscated at the consulate. Huh? Mark, what are you talking about? I get bombarded with questions all the time. Yeah, how can they not skeleton race results? Oh, what about them? What about skeleton? I wish the USCIS and others would have an open discussion with you. Well, I do advise people very well, Mayor Cat. You're implying that I don't advise people well. My advice has been pretty accurate. People just choose not to listen to it. Great Britain got a gold for the mixed team, and the Germans got silver and bronze. First ever medal in that event, by the way. That's from last night. Yeah, well, you're going to need more than one dose per head of cattle. They have this repetitive thing. Yeah, a bitter ender. I think you're right. They're sending out general emails unless they mention you by name. Don't send anything. Yeah. Seems a lot of things have been changed with paperwork, but we were waiting patiently, says Mara. Okay. When the Colonel, they had a day off. Thank you. Well, I haven't had a day off. I haven't had a single day off in well over a year. I haven't taken a day off. Every day for the past year and probably the past several years, I've worked in some fashion or other. I haven't taken a day for myself. The closest I come is to go to a rugby match when I'm in South Africa, but even then I'm still doing events, meeting people, hosting meet and greets, all kinds of things. The closest to something for me that I did that was just for me would be the Matkies game, the Varsity Cup final against Ickies a couple years ago. That's the closest I come to something for me. Yeah. I mean, I do things that are for me, but they're usually with the intent of doing content as well. Family of 5, 2 married adults, 3 minor children. Do I need to fill out intake question for each of them or just the principal applicant? Okay. My goodness, people really have no idea what's going on here. If you're a family, the principal applicant who meets the conditions, South African citizen, an Afrikaner or racial minority living in South Africa, if you meet those conditions, that principal applicant goes on there. They're married to a spouse. If you're married, yes, and then your minor children go on there. One application, all 5 people. Tiny shifting spanner. Pat had to strain it. Well, why wasn't it in your check baggage? That's stuff you need to put in your check baggage. You don't carry something like that on board. Yeah. Okay, that's back to the question about, having to leave metal things. Yeah, no, you should have put that in your, sorry, you should have put in your check baggage. Yeah, no, I got it. Okay. But I don't see anything from you. The last thing I've got from you is some time ago. Jax, the last thing I have for you is February 1st. Wait, that's not right. That's not you. Someone else is using that name. No, that is you. Why? Did you send me... No, February 1st is the last... You sent me an X thing. That's the last thing I've got there from you. February 1st. Why not do something special for yourself once a weekend? Remember, you only live once. I'm trying to make a difference in people's lives. And I enjoy what I do. No need to run some errands. Oh, there is. I have to go to the Veterans Organization tonight to do a 50-50 to get a start to raise money for the organization. I also have to go through resumes to set up interviews to start hiring a new club manager later this week. I got to go through 10 or 12 resumes. Yep. So there's no rest for the wicked. Hand luggage, okay. African swine fever. Most people don't know because they don't fly. I check my family's carry-on to make sure they don't carry anything classified private on a plane. Plans from Japan was shocked he couldn't fly with his biltong knife years later. Yep. Jean Jacobs, thank you for 35 Rand. Agree with you. We keep Colonel Wyatt busy. What do you like besides rugby balls? What do I collect? Well, I collect coins. Not coins, but challenge coins. This one was from Vice President Pence. Gave this to me at Chicago Airport. I've got a collection of those, but that's not really a collection. You're given those things. I collect stamps, but that's a recent. I did that as a kid. I had a huge collection that was burned in a fire. So basically, I collect pins. So here's one pin right there. Okay, so that one there is from the White House. I collect pins. I've got thousands of these pins, and I've got a whole thing upstairs full. Here's a few here on the table. I get pins from everywhere I go around the world. So let's see what I got here. This is a Hershey Bears pin. So Hershey Bears. This is one of the Boer Republic flags. Okay. This is a Rugby World Cup 2023 France pin. And I've got these things from all over the world. I collect those. I collect stuff from Africa. I've got some nice artwork and such. Hang on, let me get some more of these. What's this one here? This is a Pennsylvania one. This was a Liberty Bell on there for Pennsylvania. Oops, hard to hold that. There you go, Liberty Bell. Borga and Beale covered that story that went viral. Apart from 12 May flight, this is the second most viral story about refugees. Well, that's because the major media networks have covered it. That's why it's happening. So, well, when I take a break, my channel disappears. Viewership, even without me taking a break, has fallen off the cliff this week. I mean, I had a 20-some thousand view day. That's crazy. 28,000 on Saturday, 33,000 on Sunday. That's just crazy. And today the viewership will be even lower. I mean, I'm down. I was getting 200,000 views, 400,000 views per day. I'm down to 50,000 over 2 days. That's 1/10 of viewership. I also have Starbucks mugs from around the world. I started collecting those, so I've got those. What else do I collect? I have some stamps, a few of them in here. This was a gift from Courtney, first day cancellation of Trump. Here's a few recent editions. I used to collect patches, but that's not a very productive way to do things. So here's a few stamps I've collected recently. 250 years U.S. Army. So, but I don't like these adhesive stamps. I like the old lickable ones. U.S. Army. Betty White, a sheet of Betty White stamps. One sheet. Commemorate Betty White. Hank Aaron, one of the greatest baseball players of all time. This is a lovely sheet here. Hank Aaron. You're right, Guy. YouTube is not recommending my videos. It's called shadow banning. The topics are timely. The content is as good as it ever was. Hasn't declined. YouTube is not rewarding it. Apparently people aren't searching for the things that I'm covering. I've slowed down on making prepared videos because I'm not getting rewarded anymore. It's a lot of time and effort to make prepared videos, but I will make one on the Pembe Mojadina. I mean, I haven't had 100,000 view videos since November or December. So this one here, I wound up getting 2 of these. I made a mistake, but this is the 250 years of the Postal Service. So 250 years, those are all stamps on there. 250 years service. The Appalachian Trail, which runs near my house, just about 4 kilometers from my house, the Appalachian Trail. It's another one. So I collected stamps as a kid, but I only started doing this again recently. Yeah, so I also have some figurines and some Swarovski crystal, which I bought years ago. I don't buy that stuff anymore, but I got it years ago. So there's that. Anyway, that's that. So a few of those. When I was younger, I looked at collecting postcards, but that's a silly game. That doesn't work very well. I used to collect those shields that go on the walking sticks where you tack them on. So if you have a walking stick or a cane, you put one of those shields on and you tack it on with little tacks. Because that was a big thing in Germany, in the mountains, and in Austria and Switzerland. But that's the only place in the world really does that for the most part, so I quit doing that. Yeah, I need a stamp book, but I mean, the way they do it now is differently. I yes create bots that reports links to social media like Facebook. So many refugee groups. I think if you use a smart strategy to auto post links. I have no idea how to do that, guy. Why don't you write to me and offer to help with that? That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, I have a lot of Starbucks mugs, and I have the newer ones now. I don't like the new ones. I like the older ones. I just came back with one from Texas that was the new ones for Dallas and Texas. But they're getting expensive. The Starbucks mugs used to be $9, then $11. Now they're $20. It's ridiculous. And some of them overseas are even more expensive. But I probably have one of the most extensive international Starbucks mugs collections. I have them from Japan, Germany, from Berlin, from Munich. I have them from London, from France, from South Africa, from, I don't think I got them in New Zealand. I don't think they had any mugs in New Zealand when I was there. They did have Starbucks, but they didn't have any mugs, I don't think. Well, it doesn't matter if you're crazy. Collector Rugby World Cup Coke cans. I've got the Olympics Coke cans from the 2012 Olympics in London. I got a few of those. Yeah, so anyway, you don't have to like Starbucks to collect their cups. Anyway, I've got a number of little collections of things. But now mostly I always go for lapel pins, and that's the first thing I go for. So lapel pins. If I can get a jersey or T-shirt. Just got 3 rugby cards to complete my collection that I promised to get. Well, that's awesome, James. So I'm going to get the whole collection. Wow. That's pretty cool. Thank you for that. I look forward to that. And Ronaldo's doing the same thing, so maybe I'll get a couple sets of that. That would be amazing. Also got some pretty cool, I collect books, lots of books. So this is a pretty good one, Stronger Together. Springboks Rugby World Cup victory, in their own words, Japan 2019. This is a limited edition, these things. I don't know how many they made, but pretty cool. So the fixtures and results. This is a great book. I got this and a whole bunch of other stuff, including that Champions Ball, which is a limited edition. Only a few of them went out, like 500. I got these dirt cheap because South African Rugby still had a bunch of them they couldn't sell. And I ordered it, and it was before the days. Unfortunately, it got dented up here at the top in shipment, but other than that, it's okay. I ordered these in the days before the tariffs, so I got a great deal. I saved 75% of the stuff. And then I have this one. This one I also got the British and Irish Lions Tour of South Africa 2021 against all odds. This also came from South Africa. So, empty stadiums. Look at that. Empty stadiums. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Anyway, the tour against all odds. So, Warren Gatlin. Anyway, so there you go. And I collect other things. When I go to World Cups and events, I always get programs. So this is the women's program from the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup in England. This is, I just happened to buy from somewhere, the greatest rugby players of all time. This is a publication. So Bryn Meredith, Colin Deans, Alan Wynne Jones, Richie McCall, and they got the women in here too. And then this is a Cape Town map and guide. And then this is Space Center in Houston. Got this when I was there. Official visitor's guide to NASA Johnson Space Center. That's pretty cool. So anyway, yep. So yeah, I collect programs. I've got all my programs from 2015 World Cup, 2019 World Cup, 2023 World Cup. Love the rugby passion. My 6-year-old was watching rugby and broke his elbow Monday last week. So, wow, that's crazy. The children's drawings when they were small, so difficult to scale that down. Boxel it. Love the stamp collecting thing in the U.S. Beautiful collection. I have a bunch of Rhodesian stamps. That's cool. Yeah, first day cancellations aren't a thing here anymore either. That was amazing that Courtney was able to get that for me. I asked about it in the post office, like, huh? I don't know what I'm talking about. It used to be a big deal, first day cancellations on an envelope with the postage cancellation. Few limited South African juries around 96, if you remember. We'll bring... Wow, that'd be great. Chester missing is such a critic of Trump and the refugee program, but he just posted an X an apology for using the K word in the past. He's such an ass. That guy is a bigot. He's a clown. He's used the word K a lot, and he gets away with it. He attacks Ronaldo for it. He's just a twit. He's a twit. Chantel, thank you. Chantal, no, thank you for becoming a member. So R1 Brown R2 note, Question about the moon landing 6-9, did it really happen? Yes, it did happen. It did happen. No, Arnie Brands, the amount of refugees leaving South Africa proportional fewer views. No, because my views are not tied to the refugees. So actually a lot of refugees coming here are watching my program in the U.S., so quite a few. Saw that earlier. Yep. No, it's not just me. Lots of people are experiencing. I looked. Morning Shot's views are down because Citizen Concerns views are down. Ronaldo's views are down. His aren't down as much as the rest of us, but all of us have views down. It's just the way things are going right now. I've gone from 4 million views a month to 1.5 million views a month. Yep, it's the vagaries of this. Meantime, while other people are doing quite fine. But lifetime over 40 million views on this program, this channel. So 40,200,000 now. That's pretty cool. Excuse me. God bless it. Anyway, it's just the way things go. Question about, okay. Regrettable that the city has allowed infrastructure to deteriorate. Yep. Grandfather stamp collection. Wow. Age 6 in 1898. Wow, that's amazing, Karen. Spoke to 2 people today that think the program is just for farmers. Not many on YouTube. Need to start running your shorts on Facebook Reels. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't like using Facebook. I don't even know how to use the damn thing to post things. So maybe I should change the name of Indab Africa. Can't wait to watch from America so I can have free speech and speak my mind. Well, yeah, now, but that wasn't the way it used to be. Not when YouTube was running things a few years ago. You couldn't have free speech. Alrighty, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. Well, that's their choice, Ziggy. I can't help that. Dr. Peter Hammond had 60 channels or something like that or 30 channels on Facebook, and they removed all his channels just like that. He can't even appeal it. So why would I want to go in a place like that? Yep. It's safe to commute on a bicycle here or a motorcycle. Yeah, lots of people do it. Weather dependent. Can't do it all the time. But no matter where you are in the world, being on a motorcycle is dangerous because people in cars don't pay attention. So, but it's not dangerous because you're a target. No. Yep, Facebook is full of fake news. Yep. All right, that's going to do it for here, folks. You guys have a good day. Cheers. Be well. Enjoy the rest of your day. Apparently you don't listen to what I say, Neil. You don't listen to what I say because that's not what I said. I said when I was in Texas at the Texas Book Repository that is the spot up there in that 6'4" window blocked by a tree from this angle where Lee Harvey Oswald purportedly shot John Kennedy. Obviously you don't listen, Neil.